Can I just reserve it?
Ready? First of all, I would like to welcome each and every one of you to this little app of mine. And secondly, I would like to ask, how many females are currently present here? It's going better than I expected. Anyhow, you all lovely ladies who came here, allow me to officially nominate you into the title of Honorary Shield Maiden. If you know what that means, you just have an idea. Yeah, so that's plus 100 experience points and sorry about no gold. Have to make do with your own. Yeah. Yeah, keep it. Yeah. Anyhow, as most of you probably know, we will be discussing various styles and materials in making armor and the use of those things. Now, before I start out my presentation with a PowerPoint, I would first like to ask some questions from the audience. Come in or come out, make it quick. Yeah, I got one.
Don't Brexit yourselves.
Very good, very good. Anyhow, first of all, I would like to ask, how many of you can hold a needle and a thread? In other words, how many of you can sew? Okay. How many of you know how to work leather?
Kinda.
Less, but still some. Come in or go out. But make it quick. Be quick or be dead. Sorry, I lost it. And how many of you have any experience in working with metal? All right. This is very good. So we have quite a lot of skills with different crafts in this lovely little classroom. This is very good indeed. Thanks. I was just looking for that. Oh yes. Now, a few things before I start the presentation. I did this with Nuri Fazkan this year earlier. Was anyone who is currently present here there? Okay. So it's quite alright that nobody's getting this thing twice. Because it would not be very polite for me to do the same thing all over again, now would it?
Works for Michael Bay.
Yeah, well, then again, there will be no explosions, there will be no car chases, and there will not be any of that stuff. However, there will be some bad jokes and a few puns along the way. That one. Now, what is it now? You think you have a good idea when you move your stuff to Google Drive, but you have very limited access to the internet. That is a rather. Who do we have there? Just coming in from the door. Oh, hello. Hello. Oh, and by the way, one thing for you. Come in or go out!
When I was showing you, actually, it sounds a bit like khaki.
Well, that will keep you responsible. Come in or go out, but make it snappy. Run, run, run! Good. Now, first of all, how many of you came here with the intent of learning a bit about how to do armor for yourself? Lovely, lovely, lovely. And how many of you are here simply because there's nothing better to do? Nobody. I suppose I should be quite thankful. think it would be a good idea, but apparently not.
Are we connected to the Wi-Fi?
It shows it is.
Redirects it.
Hmm.
Read them.
Make it here.
Yeah. Hang on.
Users are lifesavers.
Hang on.
So that's the password.
Now, as for the many craftsmen and skilled artisans here, how many of you have a full fursuit? Okay, you may lower your hand. And how many of you have partial fursuits? Okay. Now, I'm going to pick a few persons, and you there in the front with the, what kind of armor do you suppose you would like for yourself?
I would consider some light armor.
Light armor. Very good choice. Very good choice. That is true. If you have been here in Eurofurence before, you may have noticed a couple of scaly friends with a studded leather vest that looks looks okay. And from the third row, you sponsor in the middle.
Me?
Yes, you.
Is it the same question?
Yes. What kind of armor would you like to?
I'd probably also go with light as well, really.
So light armor.
Yeah.
Then allow me to ask this question. Would you prefer cloth, leather, or metal?
I probably would prefer cloth.
Very good answer. Very good answer. And let's have our lovely ladies raise their hands again. Ladies. You there in the back as the last one. What would you like?
Full plate or a partial leather?
Full plate or a partial leather?
Like horses and foundations and stuff like that.
Let me just say to that let me show you one picture that let's see. Oh yeah, there. Now let me just say that that is yours truly with a breastplate and my crossbow and a buckler. And let me just say that while the suit of breastplate mail armor may appeal as a great one, but let me give you a fair warning, it weighs like hell. Well, not really, but the breastplate itself is quite light. It's actually weighs less than my chainmail shirt, which I do have here. But it has quite nasty restrictions on your movement. Now, about that presentation. There you go. Now, I would first off like to ask, is there anyone here who considers the use of actual leather a murder? Or is abhorred by the use of actual leather? Okay, that's fine. Now, I have shared this material with others, and I would consider it a very good thing if if somebody gets all enthusiastic about this presentation and wishes to make something good out of it, that whatever you discover will be shared along those with the enthusiasm. Now, here's what we're gonna be covering. I'm sorry I did not include the plate mail armor, and the Atlantean armor was with the Nordic Farscon's theme, but given that we will be having the Egyptian theme next year, we shall also be focusing on that for that part. But we'll start with the basics. Now, Mr. Sponsor in the middle said he would like some cloth armor. And that is a very good point to start, because you cannot progress into the heavy armor without first having learned how to deal with a cloth armor. Cloth armor, sometimes called gambeson or aketon, is nothing more than a heavier patch of clothes, like this one here, which is an infantry gambeson. It's quite light. They used to be made out of linen, but ever since the discovery of cotton, the cotton ones are far more common, but the linen is the original thing. Now, Vikings, back in the day, they had a aketon, which would have been a bit rough woolen shirt with linen, and this is mainly to cushion the chafing of heavier armors, because anything heavier than leather will irritate your skin, and anyone caught wearing a plate mail against naked skin can expect severe chafing, possible rash, and if we are in a cold weather, come in or go out!
Close the door.
It's closed. Now, the story of this thing is that in the year about 400, Scythians were depicted in drawings of wearing this, and they are also the same people that also developed splint mail, as well as the original form of our ties. You know, that's something I really never understood. Why do we need ties? I have nothing against them, but is that really necessary? A piece of cloth around the neck, isn't that like asking for trouble?
Don't let me drop it.
Yeah, but then again, if I were to kill myself, I would prefer a big explosion with preferably something that I would not have time to feel anything. But yeah, these are quite easy to produce, and therefore many common foot soldiers before advances in armor wore nothing but these. And these are quite comfortable to hug, mind you. And if any one of you speaks nerd language, this one combined with some form of arm protection and leg protection would be +1 to your armor class. Oh, and if you make it really heavy on the cloth, if you make it really durable, it will offer very good protection against light projectile weapons like arrows, throwing knives, and maybe, well, not really crossbow bolts. They tend to be armor piercing. But small projectiles against heavy cloth, yeah, the cloth will soak them.
Yeah, but also the arrows depend on both.
Yeah, it will depend on the tip of the arrow, whether we are faced with a more common unskilled work, or broadhead arrow, which would be quite devastating against this one, or the ever-dreaded bodkin arrow, the armor piercing of the old world. Oh yeah, and the gambeson is also father of the modern Kevlar vest. And it, as you can see, it survived pretty well into the 1600s and beyond.
But this gambeson is only for using as its own, and not on the chain, so because it has no arms.
Yes, but this one is only one of many forms you can sew in the sleeves, and you can lengthen the thigh protectors if necessary, or you can just settle for a really awesome vest and be done with that. Then we have a leather. And I believe our shield maiden in the back said a leather would be fine. Now, this is the oldest known armor. And it's tougher than a cloth, and it can be boiled. But the process of getting leather out of an animal's pelt is a smelly one. Back in the old days, they would have this large tub where they would do the process. For example, here we have a, let's say, a cowhide, freshly taken from a cow. First, we would take it and hang it on a small rack here to dry out for at least a day. And then we would take a tanning vat the size of our leather, and we would have hot water, and the tanner, the person in charge of it, would literally take a piss in it. Yeah, that's one of the things you do not want to live near a tannery, because it's a smelly process. But then again, you gotta do what you gotta do to get the proper leather. Now, leather is a very versatile crafting material. Now, I don't probably need to tell you the other uses in adult entertainment, but there are more than simply that. For example, if I could find a steady supply of beeswax, I could finally make myself that water skin or a leathery sake bottle that I've been wishing about for so long.
Question?
Go ahead.
Do you have asked Eurofurence?
No.
Because it says bee and all the honey comes in the dealer then.
Really?
Yes.
Very good. But as you can see here, this is the simplest form of leather armor, shaped like a very muscular man's torso, Greek design. But there are other forms of making leather armor. Now, who here likes Japan, as in Japanese culture? Okay? How many of you have watched Akira Kurosawa's films or any other such films? Go in or come out? I don't know what I just said, but whatever. Now, believe it or not, Japanese armor, the ones at least the samurai wore back in the day, are 90 to 95% leather, cloth, and paper. And only the great samurai armor, or yoroi, has any metal at all. And even then, it's only for the most vital places. Now, what they would do is that they would take a piece of leather like this, they would cut it into they would cut in half, and they would boil those pieces, stick 2 holes in there, and attach a leather cord and make, much like scale mail, only this one is called lamellar. I believe I had a few pieces of those with me, but I seem to have misplaced them. Goodness gracious, I don't know how I ever get anything done with this head of mine. But anyhow, if any one of you would like to feel the difference between what a boiled leather and soft leather, freshly taken from a torn out leather jacket, if you want to feel the difference, I'm going to give them to you to feel. And if there had been any viewers here who would have hated leather or the use of actual leather, I would have apologized. And most importantly, it does not hinder highs. And once again, if you speak geek language, leather armor in its base form, we being that's +2 to your armor class. But if you were to make a full light samurai armor of Do Maru, that would be +4 or +5. With the helmet, shoulder pauldrons, gauntlets, and the chest piece. And next on the list, my personal favorite, chainmail. Now, it's not exactly known which one came first, the Celts or the Romans. But around 300 BC, both have started to appear in written history. Now, mind you, even if it says that it's from this era, it is possible to have existed earlier, just that there's no mentioning of it. This is what I base my knowledge on. Now, it may look like a lot of work, but it's actually quite simple to make, but very time-consuming. Good, solid protection against any kind of hacking, slashing, or bludgeoning. And it will stop a broadhead or a simple arrow, but not the bodkin one. Because, depending on the size of your rings, yeah, good luck trying to get through this. Now I know what you're thinking, but sorry, mithril isn't available at the moment.
That's called titanium alloy currently.
Yeah, unfortunately we do not have that yet. Now, like I said before, any kind of metal armor against bear skin will chafe and irritate it a lot, so cushioning is required, so having one of Gambeson's is a must. And believe it or not, this form of armor was far more common than plate mail armor, because there are two distinctive advantages over the plate mail. First one being, you do not necessarily require the assistance of a smith, and you do not need a forge to repair or maintain this one. Yeah?
There's even a third very big advantage.
Mm-hmm.
If you need to fix that thing, you just don't need to replace the whole part, but just the rings that are broken.
Exactly. Very good of you, sir. Now, all those who would be interested in getting your own chainmail, please raise your hand. Okay, remind me to show you the technique, but how many of you know what a number 5 on a 6-sided dice looks like?
What?
A number 5 on a dice.
Go to the middle for...
Yeah, exactly. The same technique applies with chainmail. And funny thing is, Japanese also had a form of chainmail, but it was not just chainmail. How many of you know the soy sauce of kikkoman?
Yes.
Yeah, kikko is actually a Japanese form of chainmail. It is chainmail with hexagonal, 8-pointed, boiled leather plates. But we'll get to that in a bit. And one shirt can be as light, as mine is only 5 kilos. Don't worry, the weight distributes evenly if you know what you're doing. That is, if you know to place one leather strip around the collar, that distributes the weight quite evenly. And if you're worried about them, if you have short sleeves, whether it's long or short, if you're worried about them flapping here, put another leather strip here and tighten it until it is proper fit.
How heavy was yours again?
5 kilos. I'm sorry, I'm poundly challenged. I cannot do the math of transforming how many pounds that is.
Yeah, sorry.
And then my second form of favorite, brigandine or brigandine. Now, this would be something of a predecessor to the plate mail, but it has few distinctive differences. Oh, and I forgot to mention about chainmail that a chain shirt is +4 to your armor class, but a full suit of chainmail armor, that being an actual hauberk, would be long sleeved and the hems would come all the way to your knees. But don't worry, it's actually quite flexible and bendy, just like foxes. And you can also use chainmail in other uses, and you can even make weapons out of it, but I shall not be telling you how. I'm an armor crafter, not a weapon.
I actually saw this with a cowl and with full legs.
Yes, that's entirely possible as well. You can. I know a few craftsmen who can build a Crusader-era chainmail coif to protect your head, but with furries, the question of helmet is a bit awkward. I mean, if any one of you can come up with a good design for a helmet for fursuiters, please let me know.
Actually, the chainmail coif would fit quite nicely, I think.
Yeah, but I have the issue is with canine ears or fox ears.
Not really, you just build up the chainmail to go slightly over the ears and drape cloth or leather over it. That would work.
Well, that could work, but it might just press down on it. And
It's not that heavy for one.
well, it does get a bit heavy.
Or you could just leave those ears protected by leather. But,
Well, I'll think.
maybe we can discuss after the panel because we could
Yeah.
spend a lot of time on this.
Yeah, maybe. But yeah, back to the brigandine. Now, brigandine came around 1200s to Europe, but before that, it was designed elsewhere in India, Tibet, Japan, and China. And usually they were worn over chainmail. In Japan, this was known as kikko armor. It would be covered with either cloth or leather, and it's deceptive by its looks because it looks like you're wearing nothing more than a studded leather belt, leather vest, but actually mine has an inbuilt scale mail. But you can also make for heavy armor, and if you have heard of the term coat of plates, that's brigandine in its heaviest form. By the way, how many of you play or have played Mount and Blade? Okay, so then I have a question for you. Does this armor appear familiar? Very good, very good. Now, Indians, that is the proper people of India, have a lovely name for their design. The suit of 1,000 needles. Well, that is the official translation. And I'll be showing you now the heavier version. That's what it looks like on the inside. Now this one is known as the Visby Brigade. How many of you, by the way, are Swedish? Svenska talande folk i här? None.
Norwegian.
One.
Norwegian.
Norwegian, okay. Any Danish, by the way? Okay. Well, okay. Sad. Sad, because we would have had the conquered and the conqueror. Because this suit of armor was discovered after the Battle of Visby in 1470s. And it's one of the finest examples of Nordic armor designing. And it's really not that expensive, actually. It's just a little over 2,500 euros. Whereas a full suit, well, I'll come back to the pricing on these things. Now, moving on for some more exotic armors. How many of you have played Skyrim? Now, how many of you have crafted Dragonbone armor? Okay, now this is something that I've been pondering a lot about. Now, unless we're going for the full fantasy style, which would incorporate actual human bones, which would be kind of, shall we say, awkward to work with. But history has shown that it actually existed. But if you have leather working or metal working available, those are far superior options. Because I tried. And this is the only type of lamellar I was able to come up with. I will show you a picture. One moment. Here you can see that it does require a bit of. I used a lot of leather strips.
Added chicken bones?
Yes, chicken bones. And
Well, that's probably your mistake, because avian bones are hollow on the inside.
yeah, and they are brittle.
Brittle as fuck. If you actually wanted good lamellar armor made from bone, which I would not recommend because it would be, excuse the language, a bitching amount of work and it's horribly messy, you could go for beef ribs. You can slice them in half, so you'll get plates that are actually durable, but it's messy work, and given that bone is best work when it's still raw, not cooked, because cooked bone is very, very hard, it's more like half craftsmanship, half butchery.
Yes.
You will have to
And,
scoop out the marrow and everything.
Yes, and quite frankly, like I said, it's probably not a good idea. And but if you're stuck in a desert with few strips of leather and the body of a dead companion, and you're being surrounded by wolves, and you have a spear but no armor, well, a tempting idea, but not worth the trouble. Now, silk armor. Now, besides being a ceremonial armor in Orient, that being China, Japan, and all the countries of former Indochina, they used it as a means of presenting social status. Now, and the Huns and Mongols also employed silk armor for their cavalry archers. Close the door.
Get done.
Yeah. The pros? Really, really soft. If you know what silk feels like. And plus, make it into a real fine piece and it's a real eye catcher. keeps warm but cool. Even in this summer, you would be feeling like you would be in a pleasant 20 degrees. But the best part about it is that it protects against insect bites. Okay, it does cost a lot of money and the process kills silk moth larvae. I didn't know that, and I was quite, well, saddened by the fact that silk is a form of animal cruelty. But if you want to go ahead, if you would like to make a silk armor, go right ahead. It would be a real eye catcher. And if you do it really well, you send me a photo. And then we have the wooden armor. Well, if no metal or leather is available, but wood is plentiful, why not? And you can also make shields out of it. And we humans have been burning fire because it's quite flame resistant actually, until it comes to the point of full burning. And therefore, using firewood for campfires is a good idea, because it takes a long while to burn out, not unlike paper.
How about bamboo?
Good question. I'm not entirely certain, but I think it would have some issues.
No, Japanese armor, leopard bamboo.
Ah, okay, of course, if you make lamellar plates.
Yeah. Lamellar plates, layered, covered with lacquer, based on leather.
Yeah,
Very good armor used for also for people on boats, because it actually floats.
Yes, that is
Unlike
actually.
any other suit of full plate armor, lamellar armor made of bamboo will float.
Very good. Oh, and by the way, full plate armor is -16 to your swim skills. And there is also the one hazard, which we shall be covering shortly.
So does that matter if you have a natural swim speed?
Yes,
Good
it
lord.
does affect. Now, about how many of you here like cute stuff?
So cute. If I'm cute.
Yes, you can make an armor look cute. Yes, but you can make a pink gambesson, you can attach ribbons to an armor skirt, and yes, you can make a rainbow colored gambesson, but please do not do that. It's...
Actually, has anyone in here ever seen what the Landsknecht uniform looks like? You do all that and you can still call it legit, probably.
Yeah, but I'll be showing you what I mean in a moment. I had that piece on the comic commissioned, and it was something of a running joke here. But I figured that, you know what, there's not enough shield maidens in this world, so why not make one? Does that require translation? Or can you figure it out what it means? And the sketching one was a gift I received. Although there is one error in there. My sword is actually curved like a short saber, not a European or Viking sword. Now, here's with the theme of this year's Nordic FastCon, I went for the thoughts on the Atlantean. Now, they were probably Hellenistic, so Greek-based. They had access to leather and copper, bronze, brass, but not necessarily iron in their armors. Now, the Greeks knew leather armor, scale mail armor, and the early stages of bronze or brass breastplate. Next thing was the underwater. Okay? You do not want to expose metal armor to seawater or any form of salt water under any conditions. It corrodes. Also, leather suffers terribly. Unless it's shark skin or any other form of marine mammal skin. But okay, on this subject, I had this little thought. How about a fantasy pen and paper RPG character who goes around wearing sharkskin armor and a helmet made out of a turtle shell? The more endangered, the better. Okay, that was just sick cruelty on my face. Yes?
You would have one big advantage.
Yes.
If you need to resharpen your sword, you even can let you on the mail.
Yeah. And those of you who have played Skyrim, how many of you have the Dragonborn DLC? Okay. And has anyone here played Morrowind before? Very good.
The rest of you don't play it if you have played Skyrim.
Though I hope you like walking and fighting flying enemies you can't hit.
Have a charm, you know, attracting all the gliders.
Let's not make this official, Outlander.
We are watching you, scum.
No, but yeah, the point is that if you need to go into water, make armor out of kitten. What? Kitten.
It's like insect.
Insect. Yes. If next time you're wandering around Solstheim in Dragonborn, or going around the Vardenfell in Morrowind, do pay attention to what the kitten armor looks like and what it requires to make. If the memory serves me correct, the ash hoppers provide the kitten. Then you need netch jelly and yada yada yada. But I digress. Now here's some weather issues. Question.
Actually, it's more like a thought on topic of the Atlantean armor, of having metal armor underwater. Just hit me that it actually kind of makes sense if you look at a lot of the pictures of Atlantis and Atlanteans and whatnot. It's golden. All of it. It's like golden buildings, golden armor. And it actually makes sense if you think about it. If you gold-plated the armor,
Yeah.
a layer of gold would prevent oxidation and you could have metal armor underwater.
Yes, that is a good point. Now, I should have brought this up, but
But gold is
Gold.
quite soft.
Yeah, I'm not saying golden armor made of gold,
but you mean gold coated.
gold coated, gold plated.
Now, on this subject, gold is soft, and whoever thinks a suit of full plate mail made out entirely of pure gold is nothing more than a guy asking for trouble. Okay. In terms of making one, it would cost 100 times as much as a suit of steel. Secondly, gold is soft. It cannot hold decent edge, it cannot take a real punch, and it's better to left with the use of computer crafting and jewelry making. However, gold coating, if you have this much steel being bigger from those millimeters, and you would have this much gold plating to cover that, that would be okay. And the most armor you see that would be golden is more likely golden coated. Yes?
Wouldn't coral also be good for Atlantean armor?
Coral, brittle,
Like, yeah,
brittle and sharp.
Yes, expensive alternative, but
Be good for
viable.
weapons. But coral is sharp.
Yeah, especially if you're getting hit by some underwater kung fu monk. And if it still has the stinging polyps, there might just be the good case of enemy paralysis.
Because you've also got to think
And
like
which-
you wouldn't be able to traditionally use like a sword or like anything very well underwater because obviously the water. So yeah, you'd stick to spears and stuff. So
Piercing weapons.
so it would
piercing
need to be armour that's made.
made for the environment. Yes.
Another question.
There's a. Can you wait a minute? There's a.
Actually, I think that bronze water could be viable because bronze artifacts from the ancient ages are still in the seawater found like every year, and they are in quite good condition. The problem is that they are often not corroded, but they have the basic green corroding you have on bronze and copper as well. But the only issue is that over the centuries they are in the water, you have these corals and sea life that like stuck on it. But if you keep it on yourself, it should be fine.
Good sir, you wouldn't happen to be student of metallurgy now, would you?
No.
Okay, you just do these things for fun. Okay, and
Nearly the same question.
okay. But yeah, I'm sorry, but I'm no metallurgist. I know some things to avoid, but not all the useful facts. Now, about going back to the weather and climates and their effects on armor. Hot environments, such as the scorching heat of Egypt, would make you sweat like a pig. And therefore, that's a place for shields. Now, Egyptians had access to brass, copper, bronze, tin, and many other metals, but they lacked iron. So if you're planning on building something for next year's theme, keep that in mind and focus on the shields, because that's where it's better. Now, cold environments, on the other hand, metal conducts heat and cold. So once again, if we have Bob the Barbarian wearing a breastplate, but he forgot to purchase clothes, standing there bare naked in his breastplate, he's about to develop a very bad case of rash as well as blue balls. Solution? Brigadiers. Leather is far more difficult to cool off than metal, and employ fur cloaks for all those who have modded the Skyrim and are using Frostfall. Always keep your fur cloaks close to you. I know. And we have established that seawater and fetid swamp ruins leather and corrodes metal, so marine animal skin would be the choice if you fancy going around in a suit of endangered species skin. That is all I have on the presentation, and at this point I would like to take in some questions, and those of you who would like to know about plate mail, I would gladly share my knowledge with you. And there is also the one additional thing I forgot to mention, that being extra bits you can use for your armor, such as this rondel plate here. Now, do not confuse rondel plates with a rondel dagger. They are two entirely different things. But what we have here is a round metal plate, whether it's rondel plate or besague plate. The beloved child has many names, but essentially these would be small reinforcement parts for your armor, for those easy, difficult to cover spots, such as I need one brave volunteer.
Very good.
Okay, please come here.
They pretend to stab me all the time, so I've interrupted your lecture.
Okay.
The armpits.
Yeah.
It's where you
If
go
I
on
wanted
plate
to,
mail.
let's imagine he's wearing a gorget covering his neck, plate mail gorget, the neck shield, shoulder pauldrons, plate mail armor. Where do I want to strike him? Armpits, neck on the upper side, groin, sides,
And back of the knee,
and
if you
here.
can go down.
Or I could just simply, if I have knee protection. Now, these plates would be used to cover here, so that especially those powerful piercing weapons, such as halberds with their spike end, or the dreaded stiletto dagger.
Or for the Germans, you get the Arschpreise, it's like that one. So basically, if you had this stiletto dagger and somebody decided to stick it in the pole arm, like spike one this big.
There is a peculiar name for such weapons. In French, it's misericordia.
That's the dagger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yes, thank you. You've been wonderful. These plates can even reinforce a gambeson if you're feeling like it. Or, if you're feeling creative, you could always build a scale mail out of these things. Now, who would like to know stuff about plate mail armor? Okay, then we shall. It also pays to be in good terms with your local armory. You get to do stuff like this. And yes, another good thing I like about Germany is that Germany's idea of a bastard sword is probably the best to my liking. Now, Iron Crown here is wearing a 30-year war pikeman's plate mail and brandishing a German German-designed bastard sword and later era gauntlets. Now, plate mail, as often as it is depicted as the most common armor for the knights, in fact, it's really not that common. Why? It was developed quite lately because it only arrived somewhere between 1300s to late 1350s because Europeans did not have yet developed metallurgy well enough to produce that good quality steel, and there were only so many blacksmiths at the time. But plate mail is, without a doubt, the best form of medieval armor you can get. Even if you'll, but it does have several drawbacks. One, it slows you down quite a lot. Secondly, it still has a few weak spots, but any common foot soldier would be quite desperate to get through your armor. There's a person.
And you swim like a stone.
Yes, -6. Breastplate would be -6 to your swim, and a suit of plate mail armor would be -16. So you can do
That equals stone.
well, believe it or not.
I mean, you drop in the water and you can't get up anymore.
Yeah, especially if you're a riding knight with the heaviest, because this was a
Is the riding armor the one that you'd often have to have someone help you get into?
yes, and the thing
That's
is, you
tourney armor actually. That's the kind of armor that's actually just a tin can on top of a horse. In which you get. It even has. Do you have any pictures of the tourney armor? Because those are quite hilarious because you can even see the mechanics they used to lock the arm in which you had the tournament lance. So you just went like this. You got locked up. Your squire would carry the lance. put it into your slot and you just spur your horse and hope for the best. everything from the waist above was locked together.
Yeah.
Wow.
But while this is true, even this suit of plate mail armor, you need help. You need either a very good companion in arms or someone to help you, or your personal squire, or your errand boy, if you will, or an errand girl. Here's the helmet of the said armor. As you can see, the open face model was becoming more increasingly popular. And this would be what it would have been used in the 30-year war. Now, I'm not entirely certain, but I believe this design was of Dutch origins. So anyone from Netherlands? Ooh. And by the way, there was this book, a certain book. It was the art of warfare with using pike and musket. Essentially what tertial infantry would be like. Pikemen on the front and the musketeers or crossbowmen behind them. And quite effective, I might say. Now, in order to repair, make and reinforce this suit of armor, you would require the services of a very skilled blacksmith. And these things cost like hell. However, that's a solid protection against most swords, even from one such as Iron Crown is holding right now, the elegant bastards. If he would be struck to the chest with this thing, he would probably live to tell the tale.
Even in the arm, you want a mace to get through.
Yeah.
Or a warhammer.
Yeah, unless you're going with the spiked end. That's a different story altogether.
Actually, you can do really horrible things with the blunt end. You can crush the joints and you can effectively have the person in the plate armor choke.
Yes, choke on his own blood or something like that. Now, I have a question for this group. How many of you would like to purchase a professionally and commercially made armors for your fursuits?
I think so.
Okay.
Another one.
I would like to show you a couple of internet sites that offer these. So you are from Netherlands.
Yes.
Well, I'm not sure about your country's offering on these, but I believe that here in Germany they have this Dane Lab store, and while I'm not particularly amazed by their plate and metal armor, they do have surprisingly good selection of leather armors available.
They take tons of time to ship.
Oh, you have experience?
Yeah, I do.
Sometimes, if I actually may do a teeny tiny little bit of propaganda, I come from the tiny little world of a country called Czech Republic. If you are from Germany or anywhere around, it might actually even be worth the time and possibly slight difficulties in communication because you would have to go for English. Try to look for Czech blacksmiths because especially as of late, all the generation that used to lab in Czech Republic with nothing but a tablecloth got old enough that many of them have decided to take up smithing. They are very good, and with them, of course, you will need to arrange some fitting, to, for example, sand measures, because that's probably the most important thing about plate armor. If you want plate, you want it basically tailored just as well as you would have a well-tailored suit, because otherwise it will shave, it won't fit. But if you send them the measures, you can have armor made for anyone outside Czech Republic quite cheaply even. Because let's face it, our currency is shit.
And they're on the back.
A small piece of advice to anyone wanting to get plate armour. I went for a custom supply guide who's done everything from BBC films to official tournaments. You buy the tailoring on the gambeson is just as important as the tailoring of the plate. An improperly fitted gambeson will stop you moving, it won't let the armour sit properly. The armouring points have to be in the right place. It's actually said that once you buy your armour, you are going to spend the next 2 years learning how to wear your armour, because every time you put it on, you need to put the plates in a slightly different place. You need to move them slightly a bit more, and then eventually, all the pinning points in your ties will have welded in and worn in just enough, and then your armour will fit. So don't expect your armour to fit straight away. It will take time and practice, and also you are going to change in size as well. I lost weight, and then I've now got to have the armour reshaped, because I'm now too thin to wear my armour.
Okay, that is actually a very good point, because try not to make it too, if you're going to make it form-fitting, then do it right. Don't go half-assed about it.
What's cheaper, reshaping the armor or a cheeseburger?
Well,
reshaping the armour is not too difficult, because if it's plate, you can literally just grab it and twist and bend it into the right shape. If it's 2 millimetre thick, then you'll have to put a bit more force in. Don't be afraid to just grab plate now and just bend it if it doesn't fit properly. I did that on the collarbone.
now, another site I use, and my local armory in Finland, is the Iron Gate Armory. Most of their stuff comes from Windlass Steel Crafts, a company based on India. But there is one thing I do not like about this company. Even though my gambeson is from there, and it has served me well, there is one thing, and I will show it to you. Are you familiar, how many of you are familiar with Games Workshop? Okay, I assume you are familiar with the game of Warhammer. Well, the thing about it is that the name Games Workshop already costs a lot.
Especially now under all the new management and everything.
Yeah. Now, I'm going to show you a couple of showcases that, oh, there we go, about a certain Spanish maker called Marshall Historics, and some of the difference in prices. For example, this Visby coated plates that I showed you earlier, look at the price, 289 euros for a good, solid defense for your fursuit. And, okay, this one is made by Windlass. It consists of the main cuirass and the knee protectors, and it's 675. So, while a Cherbourg S18 armor, that chest plate over there, 309. And this one is made by Marshall Historics, Marshall Armory, in the, I think it was in Spain. And the pikeman's plate armor you saw me wearing earlier, that's only 230 euros. And it even comes with the thigh guards. A very good addition. And so, you fine Dutch fellows, if you're considering plate mail, please consider this, because it will bring you country honor. And quite frankly, because the Dutch have always been a nation of merchants, so make good use of it. Oh, there's a question in here.
I'm a carpenter, so a wooden armor would be interesting for me. Do you have some example pictures?
No, but I do have some example ideas. And in the back?
So there's on wearing armour with fursuits, I can see one issue with metal armour of any kind. You have to keep it oiled. And that won't that rub off onto the fur?
That is a
solution for that. It's called sewing machine oil. It's a special oil that you can get at any sort of sewing machine supply store. Most basic stores have that. It's a little round bottle with a blue tip, and it contains enough oil to last your lifetime if you use it for a sewing machine, but it actually does not transfer on fabric, which is why it's specific, that oil. So it can be used for as well.
And if you're concerned about that, this thing is, while not machine washable, it can withstand hand washing, even on 50 degrees. So if you're concerned about that, get a gambeson. Oh, and by the way, and if you get yourself anything heavier than leather, get a gambeson, because it looks more credible.
Have you also thought to add jack chains to it?
Jack chains. Okay, that is a good idea. Jack chains would be a type of protection from shoulders to your elbow, unless I'm entirely mistaken.
Yeah, they go there.
Yeah, you would have your cover here and a couple of iron metal splints to go from here to here. You can also use chainmail to do that, and plate mail. And last but not least, I did promise to show you a bit about working with chainmail. Now, this is quite simple, but very, very time-consuming job. What you need is 2 pliers and, depending on what you're creating, a handful or 20 kilos of metal rings. Now, my store sells them at packages of 3 kilos. And, well, my shirt has 5 kilos of rings. They are available in a metal color or in black color. And if anyone has any experiences in painting metal, or
You can get actually coloured aluminum rings.
I'm sorry, what?
You can buy coloured aluminum
Yeah,
rings.
the anodized aluminium.
Oh, okay.
Not sure if you can get them in that size though, but I know you can get them much smaller.
You can, yeah, I think you definitely can. It's not that difficult to get metals and whatever color you need.
Okay. And how many of you would be interested in making leather armor? Okay. And how many of you would know how to make clothing? Okay. And then the art of making a gambeson should not be quite hard, because it's just a bit stuffier piece of clothing. For example, if you would be to make an double arming doublet, which is a form of gambeson, you would just make an ordinary vest, sleeveless or with sleeves, and put a plenty of cotton inside it and sew it shut, much like you would with a quilt. Now, all those who would be interested in knowing how to make chainmail, please come forward here so I can showcase you. Question?
I want to say something.
Yes.
If there's anyone who's interested in leather armor made for them, a friend of mine just works on his website, and after that may take commissions. So if you like maybe leather arm guards or something, you can give me your email address or something.
Excellent, excellent.
Who said that?
This lovely female.
Actually, may I have a proposition? Since we have the sheet of paper over there, if you have like any input, this sort of website, and like maybe you could just, you know, go up and scribble it down on the board. So
Yes.
it's visible and people can, I don't know, take notes, take pictures, or maybe it will be even visible on the camera somewhere. So.
There, I broke down the four I know, and I will now showcase you the art of making chainmail. You take first ring, and you take one set of pliers to both hands, and then using these pliers, you pry it open, this is going to be one of those days again. Yeah, it also pays to have a little bit of relaxing music to go with it, or just downright death metal.
I've got a friend who, between his busy work schedule and everything, has been working over the good part of the year to try and make a sort of scale mail jacket, and he's only just got the back of it done.
I feel for him. Now that we have an opening, we put 4 rings in to form that 5 pattern, and then we close the middle ring, and there we have it. Lovely 5 figurine. If you would just kind of work with me. And then you take these Mickey Mouse ears in front of you. You open another ring, a new ring in this case. Open sesame.
Is that the only chain pattern that's ideal for it, or would other chain patterns?
I am not familiar with other chainmail patterns, but this is the most common one.
Yeah, because
You
there's
are
lots
free
of
to do.
forums with lots of different ways of weaving them together and stuff like that. And I've seen some that put the rings a bit tied together, and loads of other different designs as well.
It might as well be. I was taught to make it this way.
And there's some I've seen from Lindy Beige on YouTube where they do a slightly different pattern around the armpits and shoulders and maybe the neck, just to change the shape.
It's not
You don't need the entire
kind of,
suit
for
as well.
example, historical books. Just if you plan on doing chainmail and you want something different than just the basic pattern, go to your local library and browse the medievalistic section. There are bound to be books that do have showcases of the different patterns that can be used to make chainmail. But do count on screwing up numerous times.
Yeah.
It's like learning how to knit except with metal.
That's exactly how my friend describes it.
Yes. And yes, it will happen exactly the same as you were knitting and you find out that your sweater is almost done, but now there's a hole in the middle. Exactly the same with chain. You just find out that you have mistakenly connected the middle ring to the back ring, and the back ring to the
It's
ring
connected
to
to the middle.
My friends tried to make me have a go at it, and I was like, I really don't have the patience for this myself. You stick to that, I'll stick to laser cutting any of the scales you want. Well, engraving on them if you need any engraving.
But yeah, about tools. I would suggest getting yourself 2 multi-tools, such as leather.
I have a question.
Ask.
For the leather.
Yes?
Have you a special rule for how much leather and how much boiled water and piss you?
No. What you need is boiling water. I use plain ordinary kitchen equipment, a pot full of water,
How much?
2 liters, and small bits. Yeah, and because I'm making a lamellar for next year's Nordic FastCon with the theme of Japan, I was planning on making a full, either a Domaru or Kusari armor, which will be a test of patience, mind you. And I will most likely shout out some obscenities along the way, and I shall be maybe a bit furious, maybe cry a little, and then I'll get enraged, and then my blood rage boils, and tables are flipped, and finally I have the final product ready. But yeah, armor crafting, it's in the light category, it's relatively simple.
Yeah.
Just have patience and forgive yourself.
Actually, mind if I steal the spotlight for a while for the questions about leather armor, things like that?
Well, given that
It's like 12 minutes till the end. Sure.
yeah, and one more thing. How many of you like plushies? You can also use a leather lamellars and chainmail rings to protect your plushies. I actually have been working on a certain little pink bunny that I found from a flea market. I was thinking about giving him leather armor. Yes?
There's even an artist on the internet that does plate armor for mice.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Well, I'd like to meet that fellow one day.
I've seen a plate armor. The plate armor for a cat.
Yep. It's not that hard.
Well,
Looks funny.
now you may steal the spotlight because my part in this is officially now ended.
So,
And as a final bit of a letdown, let me just where was I? I had one final thing to say. That one. Yes, kittens with a chainmail.
Yes, the shame man.
Oh, let's see. I have.
You have mail.
Yes, I have mail. I will not be reading it for a moment. But there was one armor-related picture I wanted to show you.
Praise the sun, bro! Praise the sun!
Praise the sun.
For once in my life, I wanted to feel like what it was like to be a Teutonic knight.
One, you can't see shit.
Actually, you can see it. Can see shit through
Like
those.
most first degrees.
Sun broke.
Sun broke. Need light.
I suppose it also just depends on what the shape of your head, like where your eyes will rest in.
Yeah.
Oh, and by the way, how many of you have seen Ridley Scott's Kingdom of Heaven? Then tell me, does this look familiar, this helmet?
Oh. In German we have a movie that we called Ritter aus der Kokosnuss.
What?
Knights and criminals.
Yeah, well, use the.
I think they should
Well,
change
you guys are internet, I'd like to show off check guide, armor, and
Yeah, Warhammer armor.
Warhammer.
there's a lot of people in Czech Republic have a major king for dwarves and
Not makes it normal 40k, please.
not 40k,
Yes.
but it should be yes.
Like normal 40k, it's a little light armor.
No, it's like full on armor, yeah, you can some helmets, there's more helmets.
Corinthian helmets.
Yes, but there's like shit ton of things that this person has done. They're like, I don't, I think this is the main page, this is, which one would be the, this? Yeah, this is pictures.
He's making seance plates as well.
He makes everything. I mean, just look at the guides. He looks like a dwarf. Well, so there's knives, yes, helmets, pauldrons. This is a jacket image for himself apparently. Yeah, there's the mail.
Plate mail means Vikings.
For the
So it's like one.
Wait,
This is my
wrong use.
armor. Apparently, there's even we would have to dig even deeper to find the dwarven armor. Vikings. There's the dwarven helmet. And it's all like functional armor. It's not just costume. It's for people who actually love in it and all go to what you would call, I guess, real skin battle.
You mean board?
I don't know. Maybe.
Medieval sports combat.
Yeah.
Oh, like the recreational stuff, where it's like, you know, whenever they have like the war recreations, where it's like, yeah, the reenactments.
Except it's not just recreation, it's just a bunch of people taking an excuse to beat each other over the head.
Yeah, board is kind of like, there are certain, it's a sport.
That's what I would call recreation, you know.
Yeah, there's, at least,
So, yeah, this crazy person turning on board. But overall, probably if you just browse Czech Republic lab or something like that, then you will find a lot of different people. Maybe the quick was boiling leather, I think.
boiling water to 2 liter boiling water. What's the other ingredients?
Other ingredients, yes. If you want to make boiled leather armor, the amount of water doesn't really matter. It's you just need to have boiling water. What matters is how long do you submerge the leather in the water, and yes, what other ingredients do you use? One option is to use just water. The other option is to add some oil to the water, and in that case, the best thing you can do is experiment, because ratios will differ depending on what sort of leather do you use. The best thing you can do is you take the sheet of leather, because yes, if you want armor, you will need a sheet, and it is a lot of leather. So if you plan on building a full suit of leather armor, or at least vest, actually your cheapest option, odd as it may sound, is to probably check up with a friend or two and buy a whole cowhide. And if anyone has ever seen how big a cow is, the hide is even bigger, it's like a small carpet.
I've some at home.
Yeah, and you take a piece of that leather, if it's of course tan. I do want tan leather because you do not want to go through all this.
Yeah,
that's a horrible painstaking process that takes even months for the leather to cure and settle.
And also, however, in the modern age, we have substitutes for using this.
Yes. And you have, there's two things, and again, you have vegetable tanned hide, and I think it's chromium artificial skin that's used for tanning. You want vegetable tan if you want to have an easy time crafting with it.
Isn't this something they use by sealing wood in vats of water?
Sealing wood?
Like bits of wood.
Yeah, it's the process is a little bit similar to bending wood, but for boiling leather, you have to figure out two things. If you want lamellar, in which case you are okay with just dipping sheets of leather in the boiling water, and you will have to also experiment with how long does it take for this particular piece of leather to boil, and how much, if you for example want to boil it with oil already, how much oil do you want to use. So just prepare some strips and experiment, and do keep in mind that the leather actually does not reach the firmness it will have until it has completely dried out again after you boil it, and to count on the fact that it will become brittle.
Dear Sigmund, I have a suggestion.
Yes?
All those who are currently interested in leathercraft, and you, miss over there, who had a beloved one who makes leather crafts, would you kindly take Sigma here and gather a group and go to the bar and continue your discussion? And was the carpenter still here?
He just left.
Ah, damn it. I would have shown him. Thank you. Has everyone had a chance to feel this?
Yes.
Very good.
So anybody interested, paddle to the bar?
Because things usually go a lot smoother with a bit of ale. and always remember, don't buy discounted alcohol.